Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Well, I guess you could say we're going to be looking at something that's got people talk about the ECAT. Is it the future of energy or just a bunch of hype? We're digging through articles, research, even some firsthand accounts from a recent demo. So you know how with electric cars, there's always that worry about running out of charge, range anxiety, right? But what if, this is a big if, there was tech out there that could power your EV basically forever? That's where the ECAT comes in. It's a device made by a company called Leonardo Corporation, and they say it can generate energy, like continuously. And they're not just talking the talk. Last month, they actually did this big demo at the Latina International Circuit over in Italy. Two Renault Twizys, head-to-head, one with an ECAT, the other totally normal.
Yeah, this demo, it's definitely got people's attention. I think it's important, though, to keep a level head when you're looking at claims this big.
100%. So picture this. Two cars out on the track. The whole point was to see which one could go the furthest before needing a recharge. And the results, let's just say they were pretty wild. The Twizy with the ECAT, it went 2.7 times further than the regular one. And get this, the battery. It actually gained charge while it was driving.
Impressive, for sure. They have an independent engineer, guy named Michael Marzocchi, overseeing all the measurements. Plus, there were scientists, journalists, people from all over there to see it firsthand. But even though it's exciting, we got to remember big claims need big proof.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to figure out, right? Now, this ECAT thing, it's not brand new. Been in development for over a decade, led by this physicist, Andrea Rossi. There have been different versions, some for heat, some for electricity. The one they used in this demo, it's called the ECAT SKLEP NGU, stands for Never Give Up, if you can believe that.
Bold, yeah. And having all those independent folks watching, that's definitely a point in their favor. But what we don't know yet is if any of them could actually check the results themselves, independently verify. That kind of transparency is crucial with this sort of thing.
Couldn't agree more.
That's
Okay,
fair.
so let's say, just for argument's sake, this ECAT thing, it's the real deal. What would that even mean for us, for the whole planet?
Oh, man, the possibilities are huge. Think about it. No more range anxiety anywhere.
Road trips without hunting down charging stations. That alone would change everything for electric cars.
Totally. And it goes way beyond just cars, too. What about the environmental impact? Less reliance on mining lithium and cobalt? That's a big win, ethically and environmentally.
It's not just about the cars themselves, is it? This could be a total game changer for how we get our energy, for the whole grid, right?
Exactly. Imagine this. Cars with ECATs become like mini power plants, feeding energy back to the grid when it's needed most. Vehicle-to-grid technology, or V2G.
That's wild. And I'm guessing it could also act as a backup power source for homes during blackouts. Vehicle-to-home, V2H. Okay, so we've got this potentially revolutionary technology, impressive demonstrations, and a whole world of potential benefits. But the big question is, how does it even work? What's the science behind all of this?
This is where it gets really interesting, that, dives into the weeds a bit. The science behind the ECAT, well, it's based on some pretty unconventional ideas. We're talking about zero-point energy. That's what Rossi says makes it work.
Okay, gotta be honest, that sounds a bit out there, like something out of Star Trek.
Yeah.
What exactly is zero-point energy? I mean, in simple terms.
Think of it like this. The universe, it's not really empty space. Even at the coldest temperature possible, absolute zero, there's still this underlying energy, always fluctuating, like a sea of energy. That zero-point energy, the baseline, a constant sort of quantum hum, you could say.
So space is never truly empty. It's always buzzing with this energy.
Exactly. Now, the idea of actually using this energy, tapping into it, it's been around, but it's always been met with a lot of skepticism, from mainstream science.
And Rossi thinks he's cracked the code, that the ECAT can actually harness this zero-point energy.
That's the claim. But to understand how he says it works, we got to go even deeper down the rabbit hole. We're talking Casimir forces, these tiny forces created by particles popping in and out of existence in a vacuum. And then there's long-range particle interactions, which challenge, the basic way we think about how particles affect each other over distances.
So he's taking these fringe theories, these things we don't fully get yet, and saying, hold my beer, watch this.
Pretty much. It's bold, no doubt. But we have to be clear here, a lot of scientists aren't buying it. Not yet, anyway. This whole theoretical framework behind the ECAT, it needs serious scrutiny, peer review, the whole 9 yards. And so far, that's been lacking.
So he's not exactly publishing detailed blueprints then?
Not quite. There's this real lack of transparency when it comes to the nitty-gritty of how the ECAT actually works. Rossi says it's about protecting his intellectual property, which, fair enough. But Without being more open, it makes it really hard for the scientific community to properly evaluate his claims.
So where does that leave us? Potentially game-changing tech shrouded in secrecy, with some interesting evidence but a whole lot of doubt. What's next to the ECAT?
Can I order one for my car yet? Not yet, not quite. But they are taking pre-orders. Kind of interesting how they're doing it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Leonardo Corporation, they're up on their website. You can pre-order these ECAT cells, like little 10-watt and 100-watt versions.
Ah, so like small scale for now.
Exactly. And get this, they said they're not going to start mass production until they hit 1 million pre-orders. 1 million. That's a lot of pre-orders. Talk about confidence, huh?
Right. They're really putting a lot of faith in this whole thing. And it's not just about selling to regular people like you and me.
No.
Nope. They're also looking for like bigger partnerships, companies that could use ECAT tech in their products.
So we could be seeing this ECAT stuff everywhere eventually.
Potentially, yeah. But it all comes back to that big if. Does it actually work the way they say it does? Okay, ready for a little thought experiment?
Heavy with it.
Let's say, just for fun, that this ECAT is everything they say it is, even just half as good. What would that world look like? What could we do with that kind of energy?
Man, that's the question, isn't it? We're talking about completely changing the game, right? No more fossil fuels, clean energy everywhere, even for developing countries.
And what about the grid? Imagine a completely decentralized energy grid. No more blackouts. Everyone's got power all the time.
It's almost hard to imagine the scale of it. Geopolitics, transportation, climate change, it touches everything.
Yeah, no more fighting over oil. Electric cars would be the only option.
It's exciting to think about, but we got to stay grounded too, you know? Right now, the ECAT, it's still this big mystery, this possibility, a glimpse into a future that might not even happen. We need time, more research, real scientific investigation before we know for sure.
Couldn't have said it better myself. More questions than answers. That's usually how it goes with these brand new technologies, right? Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of the ECAT. If you're as fascinated by this stuff as we are, keep digging, do your own research, and let us know what you find. Until next time, stay curious.